Dear listener, welcome to the Quarter Hour. I'm Wade Kingsley. Well, more wash up from the survey results. Let's talk to another head of content who has a lot of radio stations to look after. Greg Byrnes, National Head of Content and 2GB Station Manager. Did I get that right?
Yes. Not a lot of radio stations, a lot of radio programs.
A lot of radio programs.
Yeah.
Because there's 4 stations.
To oversee, yeah.
Yes, in Tap Media. But I've counted, I think you've got about 30 different breakfast shows. Not breakfast, on breakfast, but
Absolutely.
personality, live, local.
Yeah, and colourful personalities, passionate radio people, engaged opinion makers, entertainers, creatives, right across the country, right across the day.
And you wouldn't have it any other way.
It's a lot of fun, Wade. Talk radio.
Oh, I know. Well, Talk was my first station at 5AA.
Okay.
And I love Talk. I've always loved Talk. And I was the 19-year-old kid who had worked 7 days a week paneling this show and producing that show because I just loved the news and I loved the theatre of it. And I worked with some great personalities.
Who was on air?
Bob Francis.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yep.
Baz and Pilko.
Yep.
There are Leon Bino. So Adelaide names.
So big personalities.
Big personalities. And what I learnt very early on was it wasn't one radio station. It was about 6 radio stations in one.
Yeah, and we're moving away from that. Well, we like to think we are. And particularly at a station like 2GB, where traditionally I think it'd be safe to say you've had some big personalities doing their thing. What we've worked on, certainly in recent years, is getting back to that family feel.
Yeah.
And having Ben in breakfast, talking to Levy every morning and winding each other up, and then Levy is talking to Michael McLaren 10 minutes before Michael's on. It's as much about what's coming up on the show as much about just creating that family feel.
Yep.
And they all have a lot of fun.
Great.
That's the idea.
That sort of continuity.
Yeah, and they'll share opinions and they'll challenge each other.
Yeah.
But it's across the station. It's not silos. It's because it's about the listener, right?
Yeah.
And we want the listener to feel that they're a part of our family. And families fight.
Yes, they do.
Right? Families fight. So the sharing of opinion or the challenging of opinions on air is part of it.
Yeah.
It's not manufactured. It's got to be genuine. But it keeps things interesting.
It's never boring.
It's
never boring. I can remember a lot of my time in programming in Talk Station was set up around answering an answering machine that we had set up for complaints. And it was all about mid-dawns. Hardly anything came about breakfast or drive. It was all about mid-dawns and had you said this or had you done that. So I know how much time it takes programming.
I try. I don't get to all of them, but I see all the listener emails. Obviously, talkback lines are always open, so the phones are always ringing. But if someone takes the time to write, and a lot of it is particular, so we've just had a 2-week survey break, and I shared with one of our fill-in announcers an email that loved them, and then 10 minutes later there was an email that didn't like it and suggested there was no future whatsoever.
Yes.
So if someone takes the time to write in, I try to ring them if there's a mobile there.
Yep.
They never expect you to call. So that's always a bit fun. But they're obviously passionate about the radio station. And I think in our jobs on the content side, it's great to get that instant feedback. It's amazing once people feel they've had their complaint heard, that they, okay, thanks for calling. I'll be listening tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Great tip.
Yeah.
So I do try to, you can't get to everyone, but it's always good to engage.
Yeah. And also that engagement's pretty critical to the format. Speaking of which, you had a great survey result again this week. Obviously, there's been a lot of attention in survey results of recent times around what's happening on FM, particularly in Sydney. But it probably goes, I think it goes underreported. I don't know if you'd be willing to go on the record and say that, but it feels like everyone just expects that Ben Fordham's going to be number 1 with 2GB. Ross and Russ are going to be number 1 with 3AW, but there's a lot of hard work that keeps them going there.
Absolutely. And it is, and so I go back to the early 90s on 2UE, when 2UE was very successful. And it was the same thing. We had Alan Jones into John Laws, and I was there when 2UE went to number 1. And there was a big party, and John Brennan had us all up at a bowling club at Linfield, and then the radio station held that number one position probably consistently for the next 8-9 years.
Yeah.
But very quickly it became the industry was talking about the FMs, and we were always like, well, hang on, like there's no AM and FM, there's number one and there's number two, and we're number one.
Yeah.
So all these years later, that's still going on.
Yeah.
Right. Ben has been doing breakfast now for almost 6 years. So successful from the get-go.
Yeah.
And we're used to hearing the noise around the FMs. And if you look at Ross and Russ in Melbourne, today they've done a 20.9.
Which is phenomenal.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's talking to people like yourself at times on survey day. I'm quite often saying we throw these figures around, but you take a step back and think, so it's over a 20 share in Melbourne, a very competitive radio market, and they are so successful. Streaming-wise, it's up almost 50% of available audience.
Talk to me about that streaming, because I noticed that in the stuff that went out in the press, talking about the digital streaming audience and how successful that is. Because again, perceptually, I'm not sure if people go, AM, it's 873 in Sydney and it's 693 in Melbourne, and it's people listening on AM, but the numbers tell a different story.
So what streaming has done for us is even the playing field, because as I say, all those years ago, there was a stigma around AM, and I think there still is. For a listening experience, it's not much chop. All of a sudden, it's a level playing field for us. So the listener experience is so much better streaming. So all of a sudden, for us, it's in the AM world, it's fantastic because it sounds so good. It's so accessible. You're always engaged. News, sport, weather, traffic. All that supposedly simple stuff that is so important as a content maker that we do consistently day in, day out. And what we found, and when I first came back into radio, when Nine bought the former Macquarie network, I said to CRA, they'd spoken about this Radio 360 starting to survey streaming. And Tom Malone organised, we had a sit down with CRA, and I expressed my concern that our 40 plus, 50 plus audience will be a slow adopter of that technology, and we may be a disadvantage. And CRA presented some really quite impressive figures showing that older demo is actually a quick adopter of the technology. So that somewhat relieved my concerns. And ever since Radio 360 has been in, which is now, so it was Survey 323, we're now Survey 426.
Yep.
9 Radio, now Tap Media, has consistently outperformed the market in relation to streaming, has dominated. We're at about 22-23% of our audience is streaming consistently. Commercial share has continued to increase. As I mentioned, some of those programs around the specific program, some of the figures around specific programs, AW Breakfast, AW Mornings, Ben Fordham, a 44 commercial share of streaming.
Yep.
Again, the figures are really impressive.
Yeah, they are.
And quite remarkable.
Yep.
But we sort of throw them around a bit. Yeah. And I quite often am saying, stop, let's just take a look at this.
And how hard it is to get there. I mean, I think it's one of those things too, because it's almost expected. Particularly I think from me coming from Melbourne with Ross and Russ, is that they're just so part of the furniture. Obviously Ross with his longevity, but Russ has been on that show now for 6 years?
Yeah, yes.
Since Byrnes retired in about 2020, I think?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we don't like, you don't like upsetting a liner.
Yep.
And we've made changes across the network for various reasons, some of our own doing, some beyond our doing. The audience doesn't like change.
Yep.
I think talk particularly, it's habit driven.
Yeah.
And it's appointment listening.
Yep. And
at 7:07 every morning on 3AW, you're going to get the rumour file.
Yep.
Ben Fordham is going to talk to Harley Khan at about 6:17 every morning.
Yeah.
And that's really important to us. So delivering that day in, day out, it's consistent. It needs to be a quality around the consistency, but habit-driven is so important. to
Yeah,
us.
and even on the digital numbers too. I mean, I think perceptually people go, "Oh, is that people listening online?" But I'll give you a real-world example. I listen to Ross and Russ every morning. Driving up from where I drive from takes about an hour. The minute I hit the tram tracks in Melbourne, AM goes static.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily start with AM. I start with the app, which is better for you because it gives you an addressable number to sell to advertisers.
Absolutely.
But the listening experience is so much better.
Yeah.
And so to me, it comes down to education. Like I've heard even just presenters on air talking about, how to download the app. And you're right too about the age perception. Again, another perception problem. I mean, I'm 50. I don't look it. Thanks for saying. But I'm not old in terms of technology, but you could easily say, oh, people over this age, they don't know how to do it. But I listen to most music through apps. I listen to most radio through apps.
So my parents are in their 90s.
Right.
God love them.
Wow.
And when I've spoken about this, I've had so many people say the similar things. So birthdays, Christmas, it's a Google Home.
Yeah.
It's a device. It's a DAB radio. It's another device you can buy them.
Yes.
And they're quick adopters of the technology. And we know because the moment we get some sort of outage, a digital outage,
Yep.
they're ringing.
They're ringing, yeah.
They're telling because they've walked downstairs and said, Google, turn on 2GB or turn on 4BC, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they're ringing us to tell us. Now, it can be very frustrating for either a tech or a phone operator. I'm sorry, I can't see your device.
Yeah.
But we realise that, particularly if you're a more mature listener, you're going to ring the radio station and ask what the problem is. It's pretty hard to solve.
I know.
But we try to take the time to talk them through it. Dare I say it, turn it on.
Yep.
And turn it back on again.
Yes,
turn it
sometimes
on,
works.
turn it up, right?
That old trick.
So, but back to that listener experience of AM versus digital, it just sounds good.
Yeah, it
and
does.
It's such a great environment for us to be playing in.
Yeah, great. Okay, so on survey results, any other highlights that you saw? Obviously, the streaming numbers were great nationally. Anything else?
Melbourne, 3AW consistently putting in remarkable figures across the day.
Yep.
Tom Elliott replaced Neil Mitchell. Jackie Felgate replaced Tom in drive. Tony Moclair into afternoons. 3AW, again, the strength of that radio station, and you listen to it, Wade. So it is such a part of Melbourne. We are very lucky to have it and very proud of it. And 2GB too, right? In the two most competitive markets, we've got these two heritage brands. 2GB, there is a perception of, again, and we can, when we hear about all the noise about FM, well, Ben Fordham isn't 50 yet. Michael McLaren's not long over 40.
Yep.
Mark Levy's 40.
Yep.
Clinton Maynard's just turned 50.
Yep.
Kyle is, I don't know, 55. Yet we're perceived as being the oldest.
Yeah.
Right? So we've put a lot of work into freshening up the lineups across the station.
Yep.
And I think we have a wonderful foundation, particularly under Tapped,
as
we move forward. Exciting times for talk.
Well, exactly. And the last question I was going to ask you is, what difference does it make to you as a programmer having the Tapped ownership?
So sales, which was linked to the wider 9. So we brought sales specifically back under radio, probably in the last 6, 8, 12 months. Brian Gallagher, who I think you're aware of, as part of that. So then Tapp's come in and we've got full control of our destiny in relation to commercial. So Tapp's come in and I really enjoyed working for 9. It must be said, I'd never worked for them until I came as part of the radio sales. So enjoyed working for 9. We're now with Tapped, and you just get the sense that there's renewed energy. There was a lot of speculation around ownership that went on for 6 to 8 months, and no one likes that. The line's been set. We've got owners who listen and generally love. They don't understand how we do it. They're very keen to learn how we do it.
That's good.
But they love the front bar and a talkback radio audience. So we're talking the same language.
Yeah.
And provided we can continue being successful,
yeah,
we're in a really good position, and it's very exciting when we look at these, the work and the success we're having in digital and podcasting. That's where revenue growth is.
Yep.
If we can maintain our strength and stranglehold on that linear, live, local content, we're in a really wonderful, exciting position.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the results. I know it does get underreported from the trade press because everyone's interested in the tabloid-ish headlines.
You can now be a true believer. Right?
I am. I'm a believer in the format, believer in the business. And
Well, I'm very pleased to hear you listen to 3AW.
I do.
Because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. I exactly know. What was the old thing about Holden cars, meat pies?
Kangaroos.
I
Yep.
feel like if you did one about Melbourne, AW would be part of that.
And
jingle.
absolutely. And it doesn't happen by luck.
No.
It's hard work. It's
Consistency.
we have a big focus on time spent listening.
Yep.
Marketing and CUME are sort of linked. If the product's good, people will hang around, they will listen longer. So that's our content makers day to day, looking at their rundowns, better story,
Yep.
better today than it was yesterday.
Yeah, great.
So we love it.
Good. I love it too.
on you,
Congratulations.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for taking the time.